I had such a great time playing A Plague Tale: Innocence. It wasn't perfect, but it was punching well above its weight. A focused, story-driven experience that felt far bigger than its budget suggested. And A Plague Tale: Requiem was always on the cards. A game that isn't just bigger than Innocence, one that's bolder, harsher, and far less forgiving. But does it actually surpass its predecessor? Well, with a third entry, Resonance: A Plague Tale Legacy launching later this year, I finally committed to playing through the sequel. So this is my retrospective review of A Plague Tale: Requiem. There's no way around it. Requiem is stunning. The scale is immediately striking. Wide open coastlines, verdant meadows stretching to the horizon, mountain ranges soaked in warm sunlight, enormous cityscapes revealed as you crest the hill. The framing of these reveals is deliberate and cinematic. The game constantly knows when to pull back the curtain. But that same beauty can also be dark and dank and cruel, and all the more emphasizes the struggle these kids face. Bloody carcasses fill fly-infested pits. Dead bodies line the slums and shacks. The moonlight cascading down onto the docks. Rats that swarm and completely overrun the grounds. The best part of it is how each of these environments help to tell the story, often reflecting the stress Amicia is under, not to mention how immersive the world becomes. It's truly impressive how much work has gone into this game, and every area feels deliberately crafted. It all fits perfectly to sell the time period. Character models have seen a significant uplift as well. Facial animations are far more expressive and natural compared to the first game, allowing subtle performances to land much harder. The visual fidelity is genuinely remarkable, at least when it behaves. Even on recommended specs, performance felt inconsistent. Stuttering, hitching, and noticeable pop-in occasionally broke immersion. Large rat swarms would sometimes behave unpredictably, and quick camera movements would cause brief instability. Lowering settings improved things slightly, but didn't eliminate the issue entirely. It's not game-breaking, but here it definitely crossed from being an occasional annoyance to actually distracting. And even though I did turn it down from ultra to high settings, it still had some performance issues, but it was much more playable. But even then the camera issue was still persistent. Like when you move the camera just a little too quickly, it'll just freak out. Perhaps the issue might have been alleviated if you used a controller, but mouse and keyboard have always been my go-to, so I suffered through them. Hey, are you enjoying this video? If you are, you should definitely subscribe. If not, tell me what you dislike and maybe I can fix it. Do it for Hugo.
You saved me. Thank you.
When it comes to audio, the sound design is what truly elevates Requiem. There's this signature use of strings that signals danger before you even consciously register it. The sound is sudden and sharp and violent, and the worst part, familiar.
Can you stand up?
Trying to.
It taps into something primal, a kind of fear that you know too well, like a childhood nightmare resurfacing. And the score? It may not be instantly iconic, but it is deeply effective. It swells when it needs to, yet pulls back when silence is more powerful.
You can rest when you're safe.
We will never be, Lucas. Never. There can be no peace for us.
It amplifies the emotional peaks and valleys of the story. The music doesn't overwhelm, it supports. The emotional highs and lows are a roller coaster in this game, and a big part of that is owed to the music. Now, with the voice work, at first Amicia's voice felt kinda jarring for me. It was older, heavier than I expected.
We got lost, we're leaving. Just let the boy go.
But as the story unfolds, it makes sense. She's been forced to grow up violently and quickly. There's exhaustion in her tone, frustration, anger, hate.
Yeah! See? They're nothing to be scared of.
Amicia, what are you doing? We have to go.
Charlotte McBurney delivers an incredible performance. Layered, vulnerable, and increasingly raw. And it's easy to see why she received awards nominations.
I don't know what's happening to me, Lucas. I feel my mind going.
What impressed me most though was again Logan Hannon as Hugo. His performance carries an emotional sincerity that anchors the entire experience just as it did in the first game.
I wanted to tell her a lot of things.
Me too. But she knew.
Kit Connor as Lucas and the supporting cast also bring a grounded authenticity that strengthens every scene. The performances make the tragedy feel so much more personal, and the story simply wouldn't land the same without them. When it comes to gameplay, Requiem expands and refines the core systems introduced in Innocence. Most sections revolve around navigating from one end of an area to another, combining light-based puzzles, environmental manipulation, stealth, and combat. Encounters often blend rats and human enemies, forcing you to adapt tools and tactics depending on the threat. Stealth remains central, but progression is now tied to playstyle. Aggression, prudence, or opportunism, your choices subtly shape Amicia's skill growth. It's a smart system thematically, reinforcing the idea that she is being moulded by the violence around her. Resource scarcity also plays a role, drawing comparisons to The Last of Us, though Requiem gives you slightly more flexibility in tools, crafting, and upgrades. Companions also add variety to the gameplay. Hugo can slip through small crevices to unlock paths. Sophia can ignite grass fires to cause distractions. And this big fella can straight up fight your enemies on command. These additions help encounters feel more dynamic and add variety. Certain gameplay sections also channel a bit of that Tomb Raider 2013 energy, namely these running sections which, if I'm honest, I wasn't really a fan of. There's also some sections that are a bit more of an on-rails experience that act as a nice change of pace. Personally though, I would have preferred a bit more challenge and length to the puzzle sections. Something like those challenge tombs in Tomb Raider would have been really cool. Like, I'd gladly trade a few more hours of runtime for deeper, more layered puzzle design. Something else that disappointed me was that despite the wide environments and routes, this isn't an open sandbox. You've got a number of approaches, but it's a much more curated experience with certain tools being the intended solution. As in, you're given an illusion of choice rather than actual freedom of approach. Overall though, the mechanics are fun and engaging and offer a fair bit of variety, but the story is what will ultimately pull you forward. Hey, you know what would pull this channel forward? Yep, that like button is just begging to be clicked. It's what Amicia would have wanted. Much like the first game, Requiem's story centers around the siblings de Rune. Hugo, a boy of 5 that is afflicted by a mysterious disease that grants him vermin-related abilities, and Amicia, the strong older sister that is forced into a protective role over a younger brother that she hardly knows. But this time the emotional weight is heavier. The trauma of the first game still lingers. These characters feel older, not in years but in burden.
Oh, please. Please. How am I going to do this?
The search for a cure becomes less about hope and more about desperation. The storytelling blends cutscenes, gameplay, and environmental detail effectively. You mostly play as Amicia, but as you sneak through the world, you rarely travel alone. And because you're almost always accompanied, dialogue flows quite naturally, and the small exchanges during gameplay add texture to relationships.
When we're there, you'll hold your sling, alright? We don't need another barn situation. So, no more killing soldiers.
Don't worry. I heard you the first time.
Companions will even make little quips depending on your approach during gameplay sections.
What? Never seen you do that.
I don't like it.
Though when you're alone, Amicia will sometimes reflect on her mental state, showing how deeply her traumatic past has affected her.
Stop shaking! Don't let him get to you!
And if I'm honest, I feel like these moments get a bit overplayed. I can't help but think that if the devs had let the audience discern for themselves, it may have had a better payoff. Even still, the story here is definitely the most interesting part of the game. Now, as the story builds towards its conclusion, it's hard not to think of other tragedies. The fragile bond at its centre reminds me of a book called, funnily enough, Of Mice and Men. A story about two vulnerable people trying to survive in a world far bigger than they are. That same sibling relationship also echoes an anime called Grave of the Fireflies, where love persists even when hope fades. And the entire game just feels like it took inspiration from both The Last of Us and the Tomb Raider Survivor trilogy. Stories about sacrifice, moral compromise, and how trauma reshapes identity. The writing and lines in Requiem can pop up and feel surprising, but in the best way. There's a line about dreams I couldn't help but think back to.
All this because of a dream.
When's the last time a dream meant everything to you?
The day I stopped being a child.
It feels like it's the underlying thesis of the entire experience. Perhaps one about hope and how it fades. About being shaped by circumstance and tragedy. About the loss of innocence in a world that offers none in return. Requiem definitely has a lot of depth of thought here, and more complex than you might expect from a simple stealth game.
You see, that's the thing with war. You don't get to decide when it's over.
A Plague Tale Requiem is in my opinion a great game. Officially it may not be AAA, but that might be its biggest strength. Occasionally it can be rough, sometimes even frustrating, but it's undeniably thoughtful, compelling, engaging, and entertaining, all rolled into a 20 to 25 hour experience. If I had to compare, it feels closest to a cross between The Last of Us and Tomb Raider's Survivor trilogy. It's ambitious, emotional, tragic, and technically impressive. But most of all, A Plague Tale Requiem is worth playing today.
There! That's I love you in goat.
You alright?
She screamed at me!
If you've managed to sit through this whole video, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to let me know what else you'd like to see in the comments. Hopefully, I'll catch you in the next one.